Welcome back to Kind Heart Homestead, everyone. I think summer is starting here up in the mountains. I'm on our property up in Virginia. We have a couple tents set up. These are my really old, at least 20, 25-year-old tents. Probably on their last leg. We need to get some new tents. But I'm up here with Angie and Cedar and our dog Maria. We just camped out last night. It took us several weeks to get back up here because we were trying to avoid the rain. Mostly because we have these really old tents, they're not good in the rain. And obviously we want to spend more than one night up here because it's so many hours driving up from South Carolina. So we found this week that there was going to be no rain. We had to wait for all the rain forecasts to go away. And then of course it rained on us last night. So we're trying to wait for some things to dry out. But I'm here at the excavation site for the footing of our solar shed. Let me show you behind me. There might be some sun glare, but I made some last minute adjustments to the design. It's going to be the same footprint, but I was doing more research about the clearances between the toilet and the walls and things like that. It says the center of the toilet drain to any obstruction on either side should be 15 inches. So the shower was a bit too close, so I'm moving that partition wall a bit, and I had to lock that in before we started doing the plumbing. So if you can see next to me over here, I bought this new dump cart, and I'm kind of using this instead of the pickup truck now to stage materials. I have a full box of PVC fittings and all sorts of stuff. We want to kind of do like a dry run where we put the fittings above ground before we start digging, just to make sure we have all the pieces and we know exactly where to dig. So that's the next step. Stick around, thanks. All right, this actually wasn't too hard just to get this dry fitted together. I already have a drawing which shows all of the floor penetrations for plumbing as well as the anchor bolts that are going to hold the bottom plate down to the slab. So you can see behind me, I've stubbed out each of the penetrations probably around 16 inches from the elbow. These fittings are only going to be probably a foot under the slab. And I was just kind of using up the scrap pieces to get it slightly above the slab, and then I can put a tape or a cap over the top. I just need it to be slightly higher than the slab so I can draw the floor level along the outside of the pipe. And I can either use a laser level or my rotary laser to find that grade before the concrete's poured. That way I know where to trowel off around the top of the pipes. So that's it for now. The next step is to start thinking about digging and gluing. So I'm down here in the trench. It actually makes it a lot easier to work on these fittings since they're about waist height. This is the main sewer line going down. I don't know if you can see it, might be out of the frame. But what I'm trying to do is just kind of dry fit things together. I might have cut this one a bit too long, but it should be okay. I have these little posts approximating the location for the penetrations through the slab. This one is for the shower. There's one over there behind the camera that's for the vent in one of the walls. There's gonna be another vent over here, and there's gonna be a toilet over there. The toilet one's gonna be tough to do because it's over the trench for the footing. So there's actually nothing to support it. So I think what I'm gonna have to do is dig the trench for the 3-inch PVC pipe to lay in, and then cover it a bit just to make sure that the grade is right. And then I can put the sweep on the end with the toilet flange up top. I don't think it's a huge issue if the concrete is around the pipe, but I might need to do some research just to see if that's okay. Worst case, I guess I could wrap it in the foam wrap. I have this like sill seal stuff that comes in a coil. I can put that around the pipe if I have to. There's a homesteading tool that we have been sorely missing for a while, and that's a large dump cart. Finally got one. I'm at Tractor Supply. It's about $300. Threw it on the roof of the car, and I'm on my way to the property in Virginia. We're only probably like 20 minutes away, give or take. So let's see if I can get this up the mountain without issue. Just finding more projects to do while I'm up here. I bought these big sandbags. They're the kind of thing you use to keep water out of your house during a flood. You pack your doors, your foundation, your garage openings with these things. And I'm using them for weights, actually. I have a large, I think it's a 30 by 50 right there where my finger is. It's called a silage tarp, and you use it to keep the weeds suppressed when you're building a garden, or if you already have an established garden, you can cover your beds for the winter and it'll keep the weeds suppressed. We don't have a garden yet, so we're obviously using this to start a garden, and I'm gonna go ahead and set that up. Well, another day of digging. I had previously dug this hole because there was a post sticking out of it and I wanted to see what it was marking. I had contacted the septic installer and he said he left a post sticking out at the end of a pipe run, and he left a pipe buried so I wouldn't have to touch the septic tank later. When I build the house, I could have just tied straight into his pipe, and it's at the appropriate depth, I'm assuming, with the appropriate fall. So it was nice that he left a post there. I'm going to put maybe a piece of wood or a piece of metal in there so I can keep track of where it is. But as you can see behind me, I had to do some more excavation to find out where I can connect another PVC pipe. I don't want all of my structures to feed the same pipe, because if there's a clog or if there's not enough capacity or something, I don't want to have to redo it later. So this hole closest to me, you can see I have a little piece of wood down there. That's the beginning of the pipe that the septic tank installer left, and that's the edge of the tank. I can find where the knockouts are around the perimeter of the tank, sort of based on that depth. So here, where these pieces of foam board are, I found the next hole, and it's around the corner, probably less than a foot from the edge of the septic tank. And I put those pieces of foam there because they're square, and they'll show me the proper 90-degree angle to trench from, so I can enter the septic tank properly. Another benefit of using these foam scraps is that they're lightweight and they're fairly large. So when I pull these out, I'll have a clear visual all the way down to the tank. And if I need to measure how deep the trench needs to be, I can. So let me show you what else is going on. It's probably like 10 to 12 feet from the corner of the building to the corner of this tank. And you can see, the PVC pipe right there that I laid down. I traced the edge of the pipe onto the foam board so I know where to cut it. And there's a couple inches beyond the foam board where I can put a sleeve there and cap it off. And then when I trench later, I won't have to go under the slab. There will be a stub out pipe sticking out just beyond the slab, and then I can angle it and do whatever I need to do to hook up to the septic tank. So I'm taking a break from the plumbing a bit because I need to go to town to get some more fittings and pipes. But in the meantime, I need to try to figure out the rebar situation. Before I get too far in the plumbing, I should probably get some rebar down in the hole, because the plumbing that goes across through a sleeve, across the footing, is going to block access to the rebar. So before I glue anything, I need to get some of this rebar in the hole. So let me show you how I am going to bend rebar. So I just fed this piece of rebar through this little peg corner of the shipping container. I'm basically using it as a vise, and I'm pushing it through about 4.5 feet because I'm trying to make a kind of a 2 90-degree bends so I can have one piece of rebar that does one of the small sides, including the corners. And if I have two 4.5 feet, that's 9 feet, and then the remainder is 11. which is about the length of that side. So people online make small bends of rebar using a vise, and since I don't have one, and it's not worth buying a bench top vise because I don't have a bench here, and these pieces of rebar are 20 feet long, I wouldn't be able to do that with a vise anyway. This is the next best thing, and let's take a look at how it works. There it is. If it's not exactly 90, I can always stand on it and apply some pressure. But this one looks pretty good. So let's move on to the next. So now that I have the first corner bent, now is the tedious part. I have to feed the other straight end into the peg, and then I have to measure a pretty exact length, I guess give or take 6 inches, but I'm shooting to put the rebar in the center of the footing. Thanks again for visiting the Kind Heart Homestead channel. If you are interested in seeing more of this rebar installation or the conclusion to this plumbing project, please press that subscribe button. That way you'll be notified about future additions to the series.